Let's get ready to rumble!
So strength and conditioning when it comes to Muay Thai, there's a lot of contrasting viewpoints about this. And I think you and I, we have some very different ideas about this. But obviously, first I started lifting weights and then I got into Muay Thai. And I think my knowledge for strength and conditioning carried over. And I think that benefits me a lot. Like my athleticism, not athleticism, like just being in better shape than my opponents. I think that carries over very well. Like my strength and explosiveness, it carries over very well. But for you, for example, you rarely lift weights.
Yeah.
And is that something you get from Sanda? Is that something you got from when you trained in Thailand? Where do you think that kind of mentality came from?
I think it really came from just me not doing weights at all. It's just me not doing weights. Like when I trained Sanda, we did weights, but then my mind, I wasn't really into weights. It was just Sanda, cause
It's just Sanda.
Yeah.
It's just Sanda. But like, how come? Like even now, you rarely do any weights. You rarely do any conditioning. You rarely when you just want to come in here and hit the bag.
hell yeah. When I see the
Hell
bodybuilders, my first thought, they can't really fight. I mean, you're definitely different, but yeah, muscle building isn't really a big priority. So
No, but it's not really. But it's not really about muscle building, is it? It's more about like your increasing your strength, whether that's like in the clinch or with your power. Like strength and power are two very different things. Strength and power, there's strength, which is like how strong and how much you can move, and power is like your explosiveness. That's strength plus speed. So it's two very, very different things that people often get mixed up. So when you're a fighter, it's more about power, your explosiveness, how much you can explode through, and of course your endurance, your muscle endurance. That's a very big part of fighting. So I'd say endurance and explosiveness. So wouldn't it be beneficial to add more strength and conditioning to become more explosive and to become more powerful?
looking in retrospect, maybe yeah, because I see videos of fighters, they're doing strength and conditioning too. I mean it would be beneficial. Looking back at what my mind said back then, I think it would be much more beneficial if I did the weights and stuff instead of just hitting the bags. I mean, it is pretty important. I think strength and conditioning it just makes you a better fighter.
Yeah, of course. But of course it makes you a better fighter, but then you don't do it. Like ever. You never do strength and conditioning.
That's why, I'm starting to do strength and conditioning right now. So
You have to speak into the mic.
I'm not sure, but I gotta get started. That's all I would say.
Like that's one of my biggest tips when it comes to fighters in Hong Kong is don't neglect your strength and conditioning. Of course, don't become like a bodybuilder. You know, like my coach, the Tiger coach, he makes fun of me all the time about all this is just for show, and he's not completely wrong. And because I'm young, I want to look good. That's like a big driving factor. But a lot of fighters in Hong Kong, especially, they're working day-to-day jobs, so I don't think they have the energy, or maybe just not the knowledge to really utilize strength and conditioning properly. I see a lot of them. They'll do strength and conditioning at the end of their workout for 30 minutes, 1 hour, and it's a bunch of reps, a bunch of that, and that's great for endurance training. But then you're not really building any power or explosivity. They're not using proper exercise science behind it. So I think that's really, really underutilized. But of course, somebody who only trains and lifts weights will not be able to beat someone who's been training Muay Thai their entire life. Your Muay Thai training comes first, above all, if you want to be a better fighter, of course. If you want to learn how to ride a bike, you don't go and work on your balance before trying to actually get on the bike. You learn how to ride a bike by riding a bike. So Muay Thai training comes before all, but don't neglect your strength and conditioning. Because especially very, very early on in my fights, well, it's still very early on, but I think I was able to not necessarily out-technique my opponents, but just hit harder than them. And I know it's not the best way to fight. I wish I didn't fight that way, but when it comes to exchanging punches for punches, I think my durability and my explosiveness is what got me through that. So that's especially very early on in your career when there's not much technique involved. Your strength and conditioning will take you so far. It will help you so much. It's underutilized, and this guy has to start doing strength and conditioning more. Because imagine how much better he would be if he had strength and conditioning. All right, I think we're gonna wrap this up. Do you want to say anything else?
Yeah, I think like when I saw your fight vids, like a lot of it is just you outmuscling your opponent.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
I mean, it's a good thing, but then the good things would outweigh the negatives, but some negatives you gotta consider them. Like when I see your vids, you always end up outmuscling your opponent, right? And I've watched your fights like live 2-3 times. I think before the fights, your game plan was always to like become more technical, but at the end you just end up outmuscling them.
Yeah.
So I mean, don't neglect strength and conditioning, but also keep in mind that you gotta. It's not a main thing that you should focus on, and there's also levels to strength and conditioning. Like you have to ignore the preconception of strength and conditioning just being bodybuilding, but instead view it as something that could boost you, like
That adds to your training.
Adds to your training.
Yeah.
So I think fighters should instead view strength and conditioning like that instead of bodybuilding. Unlike how I used to have a preconception that strength and conditioning was just bodybuilding. So yeah, do you have anything to say, or should we wrap this up?
No, not really. I think we pretty much covered everything very, very briefly.
Mike, make a profound statement.
Kai introduced the sound that'll ruin ya, screwing ya in more ways than Todd Smith be doing ya, pursuing the K to the O. It's like who in the hell left the gate open? In other words, you ain't ready.